I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time. I'm not in the mood to play with anybody.
You got me, Reid.
I feel you, Paul. Merry Christmas, you filthy
Merry
animal.
Christmas. Bah humbug. We'll get to that later on in the episode and why I'm in a bad mood. I'm not in a bad mood about you. Nice mic, by the way. Great microphone.
Thank you. Yeah, Paul's not, for once, Paul's not in a bad mood to me. Paul's in a bad mood about something else, but that's okay.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later on in the show. Just stick around and I'll tell you why I'm in a bad mood. But I was in a giving mood because Reid now has a new microphone. It is a Shure MVM. Let me figure it out.
They're terrible name mics. Like at least Apple, it's like it would be like Apple microphone. You'd be like, okay, I got the Apple microphone.
You know.
Yeah. No, Paul, hopefully we sound fantastic today. Paul got this. I got some new cables. I got a launcher. I don't even know what that is.
It's a preamp. Yeah.
A preamp. We are cruising. It should sound the best that we can via Zoom. And maybe at some point we'll try to figure out, recording off, sync. I don't know how all that works. We're going through Zoom. It's Christmas Eve. We're airing this on Christmas Day. We're going to do the best we can. No edits today because I got to get Paul's got to get to work, and I got to get to my in-laws for Christmas.
By the way, I thought we were wearing Christmas sweaters. You're just wearing a Markcast hoodie and a Santa hat, and I have this.
Say it for the audio.
For the audio podcast listeners only. Why aren't you watching on video? But for the audio podcasters, podcast listener audience, I am wearing a sweatshirt that says "Now I have a machine gun." Ho ho ho! Of course, from one of the best Christmas movies of all time, Die Hard. Don't argue with me. It is a Christmas movie. Let's not even have this discussion.
No, not even the discussion. No, I wore the Christmas hat. I had a Christmas sweater ready to go, and then Santa Claus came early this morning via the USPS. Dropped off. I have this. Let me get out of the way. These are available xflshow.com/merch. They run a little small, but it's great. If you want to get, Paul did a great job. He put this together. Thank you so much. But this is a medium. It's kind of a smedium, so I might be Dorothy might be wearing this one and I might get like L or XL, but they're great. I got one for my father-in-law for Christmas came today. And then I got one for Mama Markcast and that came. And so we're going to give those out.
Of course, the new designs are rolling out because we had to readjust the logo. We want to thank our graphic artist. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Biko from Croatia. Much love. He's been so solid and he's been so fast at turning this stuff around. I know he does the graphics for your business, Reid. Guy's solid. He's a good artist. So we want to thank him for his tireless efforts to get our merchandise within specifications and allowed to be printed. So again, xflshow.com/merch to do that. Also, xflshow.com/review to leave us a review.
We got a great review this week. xflshow.com/review. I did not have this one pulled up. We had a great review came in. Zach, he's a friend of the show. He messages me a lot. Zach, I know you're listening. He specifically messaged me. He goes, "Hey, are you guys going to have a Christmas episode?" I said, "Of course." And we actually have a ton of, none of this end of the year, good and bad lists. We got all new stuff today, lots of news. Great people doing a great job. One of the top XFL podcasts to listen to. These guys bring it to the people week in and week out, presenting the facts while offering true, genuine opinions and not trying to sway you one way or another on issues, but just to show you that what there is and give you thoughts and let you think about it for yourself. Keep up the hard work, boys. Zach is a Battlehawks fan, and I really thank you. Friend of the show. I appreciate it. If you're fan control football, XFL, TSL, we're going to be doing the ML, FB, all that stuff. xflshow.com/review. I really appreciate it. And Zach, thank you for doing that.
While I am an XFL Wildcats fan, of course, a Wildcats fan for the XFL, I have a soft spot for any Battlehawks fan because they support that team. And it was so good to see them have professional football after the Rams were taken back. Let's be honest. They were taken back. So it's good I have a soft spot for any Battlehawks fans. So, Zach, we appreciate you listening, and thank you for the review.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that.
So moving forward, there's some XFL stuff that
tons of stuff. I know Paul was making fun. I got there's a ton of stuff. I got 2 pages. There's a lot of stuff today. We got XFL. We got almost a whole page just XFL stuff because normally we're trying to vamp. There's a lot of news today. So I'm really glad to bring everything to people on Christmas. I hope you've opened up your new PS5 or whatever, and then you're going to have this on in the background. I know Jenna is going to be listening. She was asked to, episodes coming out. We got all this stuff.
So Taylor Russolino.
Wow. That was rough.
That was a rough day. Pat McAfee, of course, I guess now you can call him professional wrestler Pat McAfee, vouched for Taylor, said he was going to do great things. And it was unfortunate that Taylor had a bad day.
Yeah, this is a rough one. Taylor is kind of a long time, trying to get to the NFL. We have an interview coming up with Ernesto today, not to bury the lead too much. I always get too excited about all this stuff. Bury the lead. Ernesto's coming on, Seattle Dragons, Ernesto Lacayo, right? I did that. Lacayo. I'm sorry. I can't even say
Hey, Reid. It's okay.
Anyway, Ernesto's coming on. We talked to him about it too, plus his whole journey. The point is, to be a kicker, it's like day in, day out, you live and die. Here, Russolino got a chance, going with the Broncos. And I was driving home from a gig, and all I could see in the online chat was oh, he really shanked it. And I was like, oh no. He missed a field goal, 1 for 3 on extra points. I mean, it was a really rough day. The Bills, I think it was 48-15. They just crushed everything. It was bad.
The Bills, I'm going to say this. The Bills are the only team, I'm sorry, Steelers fans, but the Bills are the only team that are going to scare the Chiefs. So, you're playing probably one of the best teams in the entire league. Maybe that's what happened, and Ernesto Lacayo is coming up, and he'll discuss more about the psychological issues that kickers have to deal with. Because, these contracts that kickers get, they're not well for the kick. They don't do well for the kickers. Quarterbacks get 5 years, $160 million, whatever. That's probably a stupid figure that I just came up with, that no quarterbacks probably making $38 million a year. But you get what I'm saying. Kickers don't have that financial stability. So it's really unfortunate for Taylor. I hope he bounces back.
Yeah, he just released a statement on Twitter, via TG Russolino. It was an absolute honor to suit up for the Broncos and my NFL debut. The gratitude I have for those who believe and believed in me is beyond any sort of words. It was a dream come true, a moment I will never forget, opportunity of a lifetime. It was a reward for consistent hard work, patience, perseverance, faith, and trust in my own abilities and confidence. He said basically the results weren't exactly what he was looking for, obviously, but he said that it was one of the greatest experiences of his life. He did what millions of people never play in the NFL, right? So he did what a lot of people have never done, and he, put up, and it was a rough day. He signed back to the practice squad. The Broncos coach was not too, this Vic, what's his name? Vic, you got my
Fangio?
Yeah, he goes, he really didn't have he goes, yeah, I thought he was going to kick better. It's okay, well, that's.
Thanks,
Vic. I appreciate it. But
I wish, some people that I'm friends with wish you would coach better, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, he goes, well, he kicked better at practice. I wish the other guy. He goes, yeah, it was tough because it was blowing crazy, blowing. He goes, well, it didn't seem to have any problems for the other team's kicker. I go, well, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to be a kicker coming up. But yeah, Taylor, I know a lot of the XFL guys and writers, we all watched the game, Mike Mitchell, Josh, everybody, and it was really tough to kind of see that struggle, but hopefully he'll be back.
Also in the XFL, people that got cut, Josh Johnson.
This is another big story.
Yep.
Josh was on the practice squad with the 49ers. They've been having QB injuries. And then Mullins went down, right? Did I miss this? That Mullins went down and Garofalo's hurt. And then they were basically going to bring on Josh Johnson to be the backup it's like their third string backup now. I should know all this more specifically, but 49ers third string backup starting. Josh Johnson was going to be brought in potentially to play, and he has COVID. So they had to cut him. And Josh is really upset via his Twitter. He tweeted out, you can do everything right and still not have it go your way. This hurts. And that is tough. What do you think about Josh Johnson potentially going to play? What's going on with the 49ers now that he's cut?
I think, the 49ers are eliminated from postseason contention. Nothing matters right now for the 49ers. I'll just say that. Nothing matters right now. So they could basically roll anybody out there at a quarterback, and they're going to roll somebody out there, a guy by the name of Josh Rosen. And I'm going to get to it's coming up, people. Why I'm upset. Josh Rosen has to do with that. Josh Rosen is coming in. He was on the practice squad for the Buccaneers this season, and he's probably not going to see a field for the Buccaneers because they have Tom Brady. So the 49ers just picked him up, and he's going to be playing for the 49ers.
CJ Beathard, he's backing up for. I did have it in the Google Doc. I was like, I don't know who's playing. CJ Beathard, he's playing, but just stinks. I mean, here's someone, we really kind of thought, because it was right around the time with the PJ Walker stuff, Josh Johnson got signed to the practice squad, and we thought, man, are we going to see another chance? We were even thinking about, getting some 49ers, like insider stuff going on. It never really materialized. He's been on the practice squad. This has got to be one of the last. I mean, I know Josh has been around for a long time. This is as close as you're going to get and not get back. I mean, what do you think's next for Josh Johnson?
Probably maybe a stint in the Arena Football League. Maybe possibly waiting until XFL 2022 comes around. Who knows? How old is Josh now?
I was just going to ask that. He's up there. He's advanced a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's in his 30s. He's 34. So this might be the end of the road for Josh, unfortunately.
That's tough.
It is tough. Definitely. Wish him all the best, though. So with that being said, another XFL signing.
Yeah, Michael Dunn, the Cleveland Browns, he was on the practice squad. They're signing him to the main roster. That's good. We always like to see that. I got some just little tidbits today about a lot of people getting signed, but he's getting brought onto the active roster. The Browns are cruising right now. I'm thinking I kind of want Dorothy hates the Browns jerseys. I either want a Nick Chubb jersey or I want a Baker Mayfield jersey. I wish there was some relation to the XFL so I could wear one of these, but I love Baker. I'm all in on Baker Mayfield. Well,
it's going to be interesting if, okay, let's get this out of the way. This is going to be very interesting. If the Browns win out and the Browns only have the Jets and the Steelers.
Yeah, they're killing the Steelers. They're killing Pittsburgh.
If they win both those games and the Steelers lose the other game, the Browns win the division.
Yeah.
And the Steelers started 11-0 and the Browns will win the division. When did we think we'd ever hear anyone say those words? The Browns are going to win the division. So I can see why you're in on Baker Mayfield.
Well, and what I was going to say is, and I got a note later to talk about this in the garbage segment, Juju and all of his freaking logo dancing, and now he came out that he's not. Here's the deal. Baker Mayfield can make all those commercials he wants to as long as he's winning on the field. And Juju is not doing anything, and I don't want to hear this like, oh, he's building his brand. This guy needs to get the play going on the field and leave the dance. And Baker Mayfield can make all the, the hot pocket. He's deep frying the turkey. He's putting the grass seed. As long as you're winning, they're 10-4.
Yeah. And stop dancing on logos.
Now that guy needs to knock it off.
Did you see the overdubs that the people were posting on Twitter?
I can't get enough.
It's great. He got lit up. Yeah. He got lit up.
Bengals were not playing. They got Jim Ross commenting. They had Paul Heyman. Gore.
You lost to the Bengals without Joe Burrow, the guy they drafted to be their franchise quarterback. You lost to that team. Stop dancing on logos, Juju. Stop it.
I got my Xbox Series S and I was setting it all up. And I thought, oh, I'm not even going to watch. I'll just turn this game on for the final quarter. And then I flipped over. I was like, what is happening? So I watched. Yeah, that was a crazy game.
All right. So the Space Force.
Do you know anything about this? This is one where I'm like, we're dropping this on Paul.
This is ridiculous. I saw this and I was like, first and foremost, Marvel's going to sue them. I don't even think the XFL is going to sue them. Marvel's going to sue them. The Guardians of the Galaxy.
So come on. Yeah, the Space Force, right? That's the 6th branch, right, of the military, right?
Yeah. They're getting what, $2 billion in the COVID relief bill?
Yeah. So they are Mark at XFL News Hub is fired up about this too. He got this on my radar. He's like, wait, there's only one Guardians. It's the New York Guardians. I'm like, okay, Mark, you need to settle down a little bit.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, I like when Mark gets a little fired up. But so the Space Force is being called the Guardians, and then their logo is the Star Trek logo. I'm not probably going to do a lot of video editing today, so if you want any context, just Google Space Force Guardians. But there's the it's the Star Trek logo.
Yeah, it is. I said that when I first saw the thing. Like they released it a year ago, and I was like, it's the flipping Star Trek logo. Like it's Starfleet. What? Like, are we? Do you think we're dumb? Like, look at it. It's Star Trek.
But anyway, so you don't think XFL is going to sue? You think that Disney's going to sue before the XFL?
I think Disney would sue. It's like the Guardians, but it's like of the galaxy. I mean, come on.
Mark's fired up. Anytime you can get Mark Perry fired up, I'm here for it.
You're here for it. You're across the street for it, as we say on Wheelhouse.
I cross the street for it.
XFL lawsuit update. That's something that's still going on.
Yeah.
Of course. And what's the latest on that? You said that Josh just had an update for you.
Yeah, this is straight from the horse's mouth. So last night I'm sitting there and it's like 11:30. So that's Josh is in Philly. So that's 2:30. He's going on and on about this McMahon thing. So here's the deal. So last week we talked all about this on the podcast. Josh Johnson came on.
Josh Davis, not Josh Johnson.
Sorry. Yes, Josh, that would have been a huge episode.
Yeah.
And you should have listened to that. Josh Davis came on, and this isn't football stuff, but this is related to the XFL. This gets a ton of interest whenever I post this stuff online. A lot of people want to know this. So here's the deal. So there's the deal. There's the phone. Oliver Luck has a phone. They think it's got information on it. They have the phone, and Oliver Luck, who is suing for wrongful termination and $23.8 million, he will not give them the password for that. So supposedly, there's been some clarification now. So Alpha Entertainment, Paul, does own the phone. They gave it to Oliver Luck. He gave the phone back a couple weeks after the bankruptcy. And so the question is, so this is what Josh messaged me. Josh has been covering this all last night today. There were worries brought on by McMahon that Luck had deleted evidence since Luck had admitted to deleting emails and texts after he was fired and before he returned the device. McMahon attorneys say there were settings on the device like iCloud, right? I'm sure that could automatically delete stuff or set stuff to expire. And they're worried that because of technology today, that Luck could do that remotely as well. So the judge ordered Luck to give up the passcode, and an independent third party is going to image the phone, preserve the data, and that no one could see the data on the phone until it's ruled whether or not Vince can see it on January 12th. So Oliver Luck, we're recording this on Christmas Eve. He had for noon today to turn over the passcode. So unfortunately, we'll bring you the update next week. It's Christmas Eve. We're doing the best we can here. But so what do you think about that now that you have those details?
I would think that it's going to be in recovery no matter what. I don't see a reason why that wouldn't be in recovery and have both. I guess both sides already look at it. I don't know why it's going to a third party and then the judge is going to determine. I think if the judge has already ruled that a third party is going to get access to that data, it's going to be in court.
Well, the idea is, and Josh talked about this last week, so there's statutes where it says that if you're an employee, you have to turn that stuff over. But because Luck has been fired, that he doesn't have to turn that if he was an employee and the phone and all that. And so Josh says it's illegal for them to hack the phone. They'd have to reset it to remove the password. He's never given them the code. So he's never given them the code for the phone. So as it sits, the law in Connecticut doesn't provide former employees access to that information, only the current employee. And so that is kind of the update. It's really interesting. There has to be something on the phone. I would think at this point it would be long gone if Luck deleted the stuff, gave the phone back. I mean, this is, back in April, right? I mean, they've had this phone, right?
I don't know how they're going to re-image this stuff. No. What's next? Are they going to ask for Luck's iCloud account login info? I don't see how the stuff is still on the phone.
Yeah, and I'm presuming it's iCloud. I mean, it could be Android, but I'm just saying, how iCloud, it'll back up all your stuff automatically, and you've got, that's and I know that all the different services have that. I have Apple products, so I can imagine that they think that this stuff might exist somewhere, but I don't know. I have a hard enough time finding the emails for wedding clients I have, let alone stuff that's been deleted off a phone, 7 months. I mean, back in April, it would have been.
Yep, that's true. I don't see them actually obtaining any relevant data from this. So
Well, Vince is set on it. So Luck needs to turn over the code today. They're going to give it to a third party. They're going to image the device, and then that's going to do like a stopgap. And like I said, the question is if this stuff is already gone, it's long gone. So that's the whole idea about that.
Want to congratulate Danny Garcia for being recognized by USA Today Sports for being in a list of just people that were contributing for the good of sports in 2020. Rough year, of course. And, of course, Danny Garcia named on that for being the driving force behind buying the XFL and bringing it back.
Yeah, that's cool. I like her getting it's her baby. I mean, The Rock's kind of getting the face, but it's Danny's thing. And it just was cool. I think that's cool anytime that the XFL can get a shout out in USA with Danny Garcia. I mean, I think that's great to have.
Moving on to Carolina Panthers stuff, because we're definitely seeing what's happening with PJ Walker there. The Panthers have fired their GM, Marty Herney, who has had apparently 2 stints as GM in Carolina.
That's a great name, first off, Marty Herney.
Marty Herney. Sounds like a hockey name as opposed to a football name, though, right? Maybe a little bit. Yeah. So they fired Marty Herney again. I don't know if they fired him the first time. Maybe he resigned. I don't know. But they have fired him, and with the way things have gone for Matt Rule, there might be a chance that Matt Rule's gone too.
First year coach. I mean, yeah, that's the question, right? PJ's there, back up. Rule is a big PJ Walker mark, right? And so we're kind of afraid that if Rule goes, then PJ is going to be out. Too.
Because like Yoshino said numerous times, they drafted Will Grier, and they kind of want to give it to Will Grier after Teddy Bridgewater, after this Bridgewater contract is over or whatever happens with that. They'd like to pass it to Will Grier, but of course we want, PJ Walker to be the guy there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out if they get rid of Matt Rule as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, because Matt Rule had coached PJ at Temple. And so that's kind of that connection I don't know if people know all that. That's the background is Rule coached PJ, knows him, brought him on, and, obviously got to play this year, had success. When Carolina lost to the Packers, got smoked again. Aaron Rodgers was like so mad. He's never been like more angry to win a game. He's like, we're not going to do anything in the playoffs if we play like this. But PJ Walker has led the team to 25% of the Carolina wins this year. Just a thought. 1 of 4. PJ was there.
He's got a good one. He's got a good percentage.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Might want to consider keeping him on, or potentially trading him. Yeah, maybe I don't know.
If you had told me that PJ Walker would lead the Panthers to 25% of their wins this year, I would say that's crazy.
I think you wouldn't have said that because you're a PJ Walker fan. I think you would have been like, I could see that. I could see that.
I could see that.
So with that being said, also, do you want to cover this TSL stuff now, or do you want to take a break and pay some bills real quick? Or let's cover the TSL stuff.
Yep.
And then we'll take a break, come back with Ernesto Lacayo. And then, let's just breeze through this since it's Christmas and we have things to do and people to see.
Just some real quick signings. Kent Shelby, friend of the show. He was on with all his spring league stuff. He has re-signed with the Toronto Argonauts. So congratulations back in the CFL. I know that Kent had some issues with the food and how he was being treated in the spring league. And so maybe are we going to get an applause for Kent Shelby getting signed to the... Yeah, so that's good. Here's one for you. Our boy, we don't know him, but he played for the Jousters. Wide receiver Irvin Phillips, never played on TV ever. The Jousters got, our pick for the spring league team. Brian Wood still says we have our merch coming. I messaged him after the spring league game. I didn't even mention the merch. I just said congratulations. I know there's people. I know Kenny. I know you want to know what's going on. Kenny messages me all the time. Have you got the merch yet? He said that they didn't bring any Jousters stuff to Orlando. And so when he got back and he promised, I didn't even bring it up in the email. I just said, hey man, congratulations on the spring league. We saw you on TV. I'm really glad the game was good. Brian Scott, all this other stuff. And he brought it up independently and said, I promise you Jousters merch is coming. So I'm just saying what I know. But anyway, Jousters wide receiver, he is going with the Ottawa Red Blacks. And then just some other TSL signings. Blues defensive end Cedric Wilcox is going with the Blue Bombers. San Diego wide receiver Blake Jackson is also going with the Blue Bombers. And then Alpha's defensive back Jacques Khalil. Khalil is signing with the Red Black. So a lot of these TSL guys are going to the CFL now, which kind of makes sense. They can do that in the meantime and then hop on the XFL here, right? Next February, right?
Next February 2022. So with that being said, we're going to take a break, pay some bills, come back. We got Ernesto Lacayo from the Seattle Dragons and his new arena football team. We'll discuss that coming up right after this. Hello.
We got it.
Hello.
We got the train too.
We got the train, yeah.
I'm outside the gym right now. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Merry Christmas. How's it going?
Guys, good to see you.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate all the support and everything you've been giving the podcast. And it's great to talk to a fellow Seattle Dragons. So it's good.
Definitely. Been excited watching you guys, your podcasts and your videos and stuff. So it's an honor to be on here with you guys.
Perfect.
We appreciate your time, definitely. How's it going for you right now with everything? COVID, you name it.
I mean, it's good. I mean, my girlfriend's a doctor at Scripps Hospital. She's actually dealing with like the worst with all those COVID patients. But for me aside, I mean, just lucky to have a gym open and then the fields are open and be able to train. My routine is still kind of the same. So at least that hasn't been like too out of whack. But for the most part, I mean, everything's been doing pretty well. Keeping my distance at the time with my friends and also at the same time the guys who I train with. So things are good right now.
It just seems like the kind of thing where you guys, I see like you post it just all the time, right? You kind of have to be up on it all the time. You can never you can't lose it and then get it. I don't know. Does it just feel like it's a constant, like always having to be at like that peak performance?
Yeah, you have to. As a free agent, because you never know what to call, especially being a kicker or a specialist, I should say. You just never know when that call is going to be. And, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So that's the way we have to approach it every single day, whether it's being in the weight room or on the field sessions, just working the little fine tunes of stuff and your craft is what makes it go a long way and being ready for when the time calls.
Talk about life as a kicker in professional football. I know that a lot of the players get guaranteed contracts, but that I've heard that's not really the case for kickers.
No, it's a position, like I would tell a lot of people, it's a position it's really easy to do at practice, but when it comes down to games, nobody wants it. It's a lot of pressure. And with contracts and stuff, you're better off doing 1-year deals wherever you go, whether in the NFL or in arena football or XFL, just because of the fact that, it's just the safer thing for kickers because, most of the time the battle's in between our ears. And, you see a lot in the NFL now. A lot of kickers are having bad seasons and stuff. And so it's a gamble with us as kickers. But, the best ones tend to, adapt, have longevity, and make it work.
It just seems like it's such a thankless position, right? Where you're either the hero or then it's like they're done, moving on to the next one. I mean, where is it? First off, like how do you, obviously deal with that pressure and that stress? And then, what is it about being a kicker and the specialist that draws you into that to, because not everyone could handle kind of that, it's like live and die by it every day.
Well, you want to make sure that when you're younger, you go through those, bumps where you're able to make those transitions, because freshly out of college, I think guys or everyone has a misconception that everyone's ready out of college, and mentally the guys are not ready. They're young. They haven't gone through a lot of scenarios that they would have gone through in professional that they would have in college. So, having to deal with those bumps early on in your career, making the transitions, learning from your mistakes is what helps you keep going forward. As far as who wants to be a kicker all the time, I always tell people, you got to be a little bit of nuts to do the job. Because at the end of the day, like you were saying, everyone either looks at you as the hero or, you're the black sheep at the end of the day, just depending on, doing your job. And that's what it basically comes down to.
You talked about college. Didn't you go to college with someone very famous in the football sphere?
So in community college, my quarterback was Julian Edelman at College of San Mateo. He was pretty much the offensive weapon of all the time. So I didn't get a chance to kick much at community college until he left. And then I transferred over to Hastings College where, I was flourishing because, they actually used me at community college with a high powered offense. I mean, I was waved off a lot of times on 4th down because it'd be 4th and 15 and Julian Edelman would be like, "No, I got this." And he was a hell of a quarterback. And so to see that transition he made as a receiver, it's, it's not surprising. His body of work was amazing even back then.
Something, and not that we haven't had we just had like Brian Scott on last week, exciting guest. When I announced that you were coming on, it just seems like you're real popular, with all the XFL writers that I talk to every week and the XFL people that follow us. I mean, and that's true, right? So like, what is it? Is it your personality? Is it your body of work? Is it the engaging with everybody? What is it about? Because there was a lot of people like, oh, wow, that's awesome that you're going to have him come on. And what is it about that? Because, you don't get that with everybody, right? That you announced to come on the podcast.
I mean, I would say, I'm not a very vocal individual. I mean, I don't really say much on game days. And I think the popularity has always been that, I'm very disciplined and, I work very hard at my craft. And to be able to play this position and the game for as long as I have, I'm very well respected in the arena community and also just in, just for professionals because of the way I carry myself. Pretty old school, blue collar guy. I work really hard at what I do. And, I'm not one of those guys where I like to, showboat and stuff. I always give credit to my teammates first before anything else. And then the fans too. I'm always, as much as people think that I'm very quiet, when it comes to fans, I'm very vocal with them. When people message me, I love to conversate with them. So that's probably the reason why, a lot of people are really excited to always talk to me. And I'm always willing to talk football, XFL especially. And more than anything, the Seattle Dragons. It's probably why that's my popularity throughout the years.
During your time with the Dragons, what was it like, being under Coach Zorn, who's a legend in the Seattle area? What was all that experience like under him and playing for the Dragons?
It was definitely fun. It's something that, I even tell guys who are all NFL free agents, I'm like, it's pretty hard to see what the NFL would be like and how it will replace the feeling that I had in the XFL. Just being able to play under Jim Zorn, talking with him about VWs because he loves Volkswagen stuff. And so those are the conversations I had with him at practice more than anything else aside from football. And just the organization was top notch. And not only that, the fan atmosphere, that was amazing. Playing at CenturyLink, that's something that I'm not sure I will ever get again. Just hearing the roar of the crowd like that is something that I'll always cherish and miss. But every day that I was there in Seattle was amazing. Playing for the organization, just the day-to-day operations, it was just top notch and everything of that sort.
Yeah, that's definitely we watched a lot of these other leagues, and I mean, especially right now, obviously, there's no audience, anywhere, right, or very limited. But the XFL definitely offered that, just that chance to have, in Seattle, we had like 26,000 people or whatever. I mean, had you ever played in front of anybody like that and had an experience like that?
No, I mean, in arena football, you have organizations like the Arizona Rattlers and the Sioux Falls Storm where they have a big fan base, and they're in basketball stadiums. So yeah, everything's pretty loud and magnified. But I didn't expect, even after the first game we played in Washington, it was pretty good crowd in Washington. But when we got to the first home game in Seattle, and I had to kick off first, I couldn't hear myself because I like to count my steps back on my kickoff, and I had to yell them out loud because that's how loud it was. And it was so electric. So there was nothing to that sort. And I'm like, I can only imagine how loud this stadium can be if we even had the top decks filled. So the fans really made the experience. That was the home field advantage. And that's something that I'm not sure will ever be replicated again unless we go back to the Seattle team.
Yeah, we were in DC for that. We flew out. I made sure Paul said, I said, we got to be there for the, first game of the XFL, but then especially like with the Dragons, I was like, I got to be there to see what all this is, going on.
Yeah. Even being a soccer stadium, that was a good atmosphere that they had in Washington. But nothing tops what Seattle and even St. Louis had. They both had great fan base, loud, really behind them. Whether you're up, whether you're down, they were always engaged.
What were your thoughts when you heard The Rock was going to buy the XFL and the acquisition went down and all that stuff?
It's funny because, we were all training here in San Diego as kickers, and we were all being asked who were in the XFL, who's going to buy the league. And we had heard rumors, and they were just rumors to sell that Disney might buy it. There was all these things options that were out there. And then suddenly, as we're stretching, we hear from somebody, The Rock just bought the XFL, and we're like, wait a minute, what? That was like a left field. But then as you took time to process, I'm like, well, that makes kind of sense. Vince McMahon was selling it, wants to keep it somewhere within the wrestling community. And so we were excited, and just to hear him and also how much Danny Garcia was really excited because I think she was the one that really brought it to the table at the end of the day. And so she gives a lot of credit. He may be the face, but without her, I don't think there'd be much of an option, or who knows who else would have been buying the XFL.
Are you looking forward to potentially getting a call when they, we're kind of getting through this drudge of, where nothing happened this year, right? We all kind of thought maybe it would come back in February. I guess first off, were you anticipating a February launch this year for the XFL relaunch?
Yeah, we definitely were. A lot of us, I trained with Brock Miller, the punter for the Seattle team, and the other guys too, like the snapper from the Washington, D.C. And so we were all kind of getting ready. We were all staying ready also for the NFL in case the call came and everything. But when that announcement came out, as far as they were going to come back in 2022, unfortunately, it's safe to say a lot of guys retired that day that announcement came out, because guys got to move on, and it's unfortunate. But we're always having to stay ready. We're excited to hear back from our teams, and sometimes we keep in communication with organizations, but it's all like in limbo. A lot of guys in the organization don't know yet what's going on. But like Brock and I, we're always ready. We'd love to come back to Seattle, and it's good to know that our coaching staff, we did so well in our unit that they want us to come back if they are coming back as well. So it's just a matter of waiting, which is something that's cruel and punishment for us as free agents. We're just wanting to get things going, and for sure. And a lot of guys are looking for other outlets. Like some guys went to the spring league. Myself, I'll be playing in the arena leagues again. Just to keep my craft, pretty much going, and just be ready and shape when the time comes for training camp.
Have you been talking with anybody from the league or from other teammates or coaches about coming back or the potential to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in communication with our director player personnel, Tony Softly of the Seattle team, who was the guy who ended up signing me. And Zorn, I talked to him a couple months back, but I haven't heard much from him. It was just more of staying in touch and, congratulating him for, I think his daughter was getting married at the time. The snapper for the Washington, D.C., Brian Core, we always train together. We're always talking. So, but all we keep hearing is the same thing. Just hold on tight till June, July, when we were expected to hear something back, or when they re-sign. So we're also waiting on maybe potentially hearing from The Rock, because I think he wanted to address to all the players that were on their respective teams, hey, that they love the fact of what we did. We're not going to leave you guys hanging to dry. So it's just a matter of who's willing to come back to the teams, who has not retired and moved on. That I think they'll give us that opportunity to pretty much finish what we started.
You said you're going into the arena leagues for this upcoming season. Any place you're looking to land, or you already? Well,
I already signed with the Arizona Rattlers, one of the most historic franchises of the indoor football / arena football. A team that I've played against 17 times throughout my career that I've never beaten. So it's just
you can't beat them, join them, right?
Exactly, the old cliche. So it was one of those things. I'm like, every time I played there, those fans knew me better, because they're like, well, you're always playing against us, but unfortunately, I never been able to beat them. So it's an honor to play for an organization like that we're bringing me in. But they called me right after the announcement was made that 2022 was going to be the starting year for the XFL. So lucky to be playing for them, and a good organization that will at least keep my craft working the whole time. So when the time comes.
Oh, sorry.
Ask another question. I thought you might have one.
Yeah. So I guess moving forward, Arena League, getting ready for the XFL. What else is on the table? What else are you looking to accomplish? You've played in, I think I was reading, like 42 different states, right, for years and years. Yeah. All these different things. I mean, is it to get to the NFL? What's your goal here? Trying to move forward.
The ultimate goal is always to come and get ready for the NFL. That's the dream. But as years went on and playing in the arena football leagues, being able to establish myself there and to prove that even the small school guys and even the arena guys can play at the high level was something that I always wanted to prove to help the next generation. And I couldn't tell you that years ago that I would be playing in year 10, my professional career. I didn't expect that, let alone in 2020. I was never expected to even play in the XFL, because I had trained with Garrett Harley, who was a kicker for the Seattle Dragons first. And so I was never expecting that. And then for it to happen, it was a dream come true to play at that high level amongst a lot of my peers and guys who I've seen play in the NFL. it was something where I was very happy and grateful to play in the XFL and possibly in the future. But the NFL is always the target as well, just to be able to make it there and just to represent my alma maters as well as guys from small schools and hopefully for the XFL. So, I mean, we're still staying in shape. At the same time, we're having virtual workouts and combines that we always have to be prepared. So it's not something that we can take our time, take some months off and then restart things up. We just constantly always have to be in shape.
One thing I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you before we go, Taylor Russolino, he was kicked for the Broncos over the weekend, had a rough go of it, right? It was a challenging game for him. As someone that, to see someone else, kind of get to that, something you're trying to do, what was it like? I mean, he really struggled that day. What was it like kind of hearing and watching and seeing what happened?
Well, we kicked together before. He's a very good solid kicker. And it could happen to anybody. Unfortunately, it was not the best conditions for guys, but that argument could be made for the other guy, and he did his job as well. But he's a solid kicker. He did exceptionally well in the XFL. I think it's great that he kind of transcended and made that push to actually playing the game. And he did make 1 point. At least that's a big move for a lot of guys because he comes from a small school as well as Division III. And so it's unfortunate to see that. But it happens in this profession a lot, and it can happen to anybody. But you want to make sure, when your time comes, you make the best of your opportunity. And good or bad, you want to make sure that whatever happens, you continue to learn and grow from those experiences.
You said half the battle is, most of the battle's up here when you're a kicker. What kind of things do kickers do when they have those battles going on to kind of clear their head and get back in the flow of things?
I mean, one thing I learned in 2014 when I was in the mini camp with the 49ers, and the kicker back then was Phil Dawson, was a veteran. And one thing that he taught me was being able to have a short memory. But his thing was every time he had a good kick or a bad kick, what he would do, he'd go to the sideline, drink a cup of water, process the kick. And once, he threw away the cup, that kick was gone. And it helped me out throughout my careers that you want to make sure you have a short memory as a kicker and not live in the moment. So once it happens, it happens. It's done. Kickoff, field goal, or punt, or etc. You want to make sure once it's done, you process it quickly, make those fine adjustments if it was a bad kick, and then make sure you move on. And that comes with experience, with a lot of years of playing. I've had a lot of good moments, a lot of bad moments, and I can probably tell you more of the bad moments than the good ones because those are the ones that really help you out and make those adjustments to succeed and grow.
And hopefully Taylor does that. Ernesto Lacayo, thank you for your time. Current Arizona Rattlers kicker and, possibly current Seattle Dragons kicker too. I want to thank you for joining us right here on the Markcast.
Thank you so much.
It was exciting.
I hope you have, Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys, hope you're able to do some fun stuff. Thank you so much for making the time Christmas Eve.
I would also be remiss if I didn't say, give your girlfriend a thanks. She's a hero. She's on the front lines fighting this thing, and we appreciate her sacrifice.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It's always an honor, fun. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thanks.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
All right. Want to shout out Ernesto Lacayo for dropping in. Great guy. Nice guy. Great interview. And we appreciate his time. Definitely.
Yeah. On Christmas Eve, I said, hey, man, I know it's kind of weird this day. We're doing it on Christmas Eve. Paul's got to work. I got to go. It's kind of, he goes, not a problem at all. I'll be there. I'm happy to be there. So true testament to him. I really appreciate that. And I hope he, has a successful arena football league, time this year, and then get back in the XFL next year.
I've actually been to an Arizona Rattlers game when I worked in Tucson, and I could tell you that the atmosphere is insane at an arena football game in Phoenix. So he's in for a treat now that they're going to be cheering for him as opposed to against him. So with that being said, it's time for our garbage segment. Where we just kind of discuss things that kind of happen around sports and stuff like that. So with that being said, I know you texted me about this thing, and I saw some of it, and you were kind of annoyed by this camera.
Oh, the new NFL camera. Yeah. So Seahawks played Washington football team, which apparently they're thinking about leaving that be the name. Did you hear about that? They really are, though. They're like either that or I like it. WFT, I like it, man. Washington football team. They've already got the lead.
Yeah, I mean, what?
Yeah. Here's the funniest thing. So I'm a wedding videographer. I deal with a lot of camera stuff. I see a lot of camera stuff, whatever.
Right.
So Good Morning Football did this too. So NFL had this crazy, they called it like, I'm just saying you asked me my opinion on this particular topic. Paul is also an accomplished Emmy-winning photojournalist. I have never won an Emmy, so that tells you everything you need to know about all these things. But anyway, I'm just saying from my perspective, I watched this game, people going crazy. The end zone camera was like, it looked different. And people are like, what's the deal? It looks different. What's going on? All this stuff. So Good Morning Football did this whole rundown of it. And first off, I thought the focus, the focus was too thin. The f-stop.
The depth of field
was too thin. Wasn't wide enough. It wasn't wide enough to capture. Like, I want the end zone. I kind of want to see everything. So they do this thing. Peter Schrager on Good Morning Football does this whole thing. He goes, yeah, I was talking with the Fox guys. He goes, it's a Sony A7R4? That's crazy. I go, that camera retails for $29.99. That's a $3,000 DSLR camera. There's literally nothing fancy about this. It had a Canon, they're like, oh, and it's got a Canon lens on it. That's crazy. It's a Canon lens. I'm like, I guarantee you some of the stuff I have is more expensive than what they have going on. I mean, they had a big Steadicam put into it, right? And obviously it's got, good HDMI out or whatever to, broadcast quality, right, output. But literally, I got a $2,500 lens that I use. Like, can I go shoot NFL games?
Yeah, you can, apparently. They made a big deal about this camera. And it's
huge.
like, anybody can buy this camera that has $3,000.
Yeah.
This is not a camera that is like, like you're going to break the bank buying it.
Well, and I know that I'm sure people are like, oh, $3,000. That's not cheap. But you can, there are cameras that are $6,000, $10,000, $50,000. All the way. This is not like the ones that we use. I have 4 of them. I think they retail for $2,600. So kind of our bread and butter that we use, $26,000 to $300,000. So it's really not. But man, people went crazy about this NFL thing. They're like, oh, and then they're going to bring the technology to the game next week. I'm like,
please don't.
Well, just get or get a wider lens, and we just don't need to quit gushing about it. They're like, oh, it's like watching a movie. I go, it's probably just a frame rate. They probably just shot it like at 24p, and they're like, oh wow, this looks cinematic.
That's exactly the way it seemed. Everybody was like gushing over this. I'm like, it's a flipping DSLR.
Yeah, it's really not a big of a deal.
It's really nothing like you would expect the NFL to be like, oh, we're going to spend $3,000 on a camera and make it sound like a $30,000 rig. It's not that.
No, it's really not. It just was weird. And then just watching Peter Schrager and all of them on there, because they're all just these not idiot, but they're like these weird, dumb sports hosts. Oh, I want to get that Sony camera with the Canon lens too. I'm like, this is not. It's really not.
Go for it.
You can afford it. It's really not the big
for it. No one cares. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
Paul, what are the chances that friend of the show? We just talked about this man. I was getting ready to watch his highlights last week, and good friend of the show, Scott Van Pelt, was not at his usual anchor desk. And I thought, what is happening? Scott Van Pelt has COVID, Paul. It's real.
It's not a hoax.
It's real. What happened? Scott's old too.
He's not old.
But he's bald. He looks old.
Oh, so bald people look old, Reid. Bald people look old, Reid. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what's hot in the streets? Is that the rumor?
So the funniest thing, I just texted Paul this morning. So I was pulling images to do for our Christmas themed thumbnail for the video. And I went on, there's a truck going by outside. That's annoying. FedEx. Sorry, I have the window up in my sweatshirt. It's so warm. So I went onto my Apple computer this morning because I was trying to find pictures of Paul to put for the video thumbnail. And so you can, search by faces. And so you're one of the faces. And then pulled up Pitbull next to
computer's racist.
And I thought, is my computer racist? Is the thing
racist?
That one Latino bald man is crazy. I couldn't believe it. It was so funny.
Racist. Your computer should be ashamed of itself for insinuating that all bald Latinos look alike.
But he was like, Paul. And then we're big Pitbull fans at this house, so ask me why I have Pitbull. Well, Dorothy and I are. Don't ask me why I have Pitbull photos on my phone. It literally had Pitbull included with all the different images of Paul. But anyway, Scott's got COVID. All right, I hope he's okay.
Hope he gets better soon. Definitely. Dwanta Claus needs to die.
Yeah, I know he's doing work for charity. Rock's doing this Dwanta Claus thing. It's not a name. It's good care. I mean, he's going off. He's doing like healthcare workers. He's giving them like Terramana tequila and stuff.
It's good. So speaking of Dwanta Claus, Van tried to throw a little quip at me on Twitter, and it was not the right time. And now we're going to talk about why I'm a little bit upset, why I'm a little mad.
Okay.
So I was born and raised in Tucson, avid Arizona Wildcats fan. And they fired Kevin Sumlin, which, should get a round of applause. So when they said they're going to fill the position, the athletic director's like, we need someone that bleeds Arizona, red and blue and has the community in mind and has ties to Tucson, blah, blah, blah. And they go and hire a guy by the name of Jedd Fisch. Jedd with 2 D's, Fisch. Jedd Fisch. Who has no ties to Tucson, who has no experience coaching, being a head coach. He's just been like a quarterback coach. He's had like 10 jobs in 13 years. And I'm befuddled as to how this happened because I really thought that they were going to bring someone in that had ties and could sell the program to recruits. Cause that's the point is like, you want to be like, I'm ingratiated with this community. I get it. I understand what it's like to be, a Wildcat. They bring this guy in that, interviewed last time. And apparently because he's friends with the president of the school, he gets the job this time. This is ridiculous. This pisses me off because, Arizona their fans want to be taken seriously and they don't want to be laughed at by the school up north, Arizona State. And they go and hire this guy who's never been a head coach, whose only recent job was with the Patriots. He's been the quarterback coach there. And do you want to know what Cam Newton's quarterback rating is under Jedd Fisch's tutelage?
Well.
It's 44.7. This is ridiculous. Why did they do this? And it's unfair to Jedd. It really is, because I'm sure that Jedd is probably a nice guy that just gets a lot of jobs, 10 and 13 different years, 10 different jobs in 13 years. I'm sure he probably is a nice guy and he's getting a bad rap. But the fact of the matter is like the nepotism of being the president's friend and the athletic director selling us one thing and giving us another. It's unfortunate. And Arizona football is going to continue to suck. And I'll never see my Rose Bowl. I'll never see one.
Friend of the show, Zach, I mentioned before with the review, he messaged me. He was messaging me about college football. And I said, I went to Gonzaga. We didn't have a college football team. So I don't really care. Like my wife likes the Huskies and so that's fine, but I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. I'm sure it stinks to have but are you just because you live there and you were born there? I mean, is that your?
I never went to school there.
Yeah,
but I live, because I had scholarships to go other places. So, it was like an in-state tuition thing where I was already in a different state. So it was like, I'm going to save as much money as I can on school. And little did I know later on, like, schools would be so flippin' expensive. Like probably the difference in cost between when you went to school, when I went to school, it's probably thousands of dollars now. So it's rather unfortunate. And one of Jedd Fisch's jobs, actually, he was an interim head coach at UCLA. And who his quarterback was? Josh Rosen, who is now going to be backing up at in San Francisco. And Josh Rosen on that game against Arizona when Jedd Fisch was the interim coach for UCLA. Josh Rosen threw 5 picks. This is what we have to look forward to.
5 picks. That's good.
That's great.
Do you think Cam's coming back next year for the Panthers?
For the Panthers?
I mean, for the Patriots. Sorry. I
think Cam's done.
You think he's done for good?
I think Cam's done. He's had his best days. He's done. I don't know if it's like psychological or if it's physical, but I don't think he's a shell of who he was. And I think it all started that Super Bowl when he was all pouty, sad man in the flipping post-game press conference where he was just like sad and pouty. I think it was done then. Like his career was over then. And I hope he proves me wrong, because I thought Cam was really electrifying. I just think that if that was what it was that ruined him, then he needs to go talk to a therapist or something and work through the feelings, because we all lose games, man. As a former athlete, we all lose games.
Two funny quick notes. Cam's got the new AirPods Max. I tweeted about that. I saw him warming up. He's got the AirPods Max. The other thing, and I forgot to tell you this, I was going to text you. So I was watching the NFL Get Ready, right? And Kurt Warner's on there, right? He's one of the analysts. And they were picking Miami or the Patriots. And Kurt went with the Patriots, right? And so I tweeted, I go, is Kurt Warner high? Like, what is happening? And he responded. He's like, hey, I'm just trying to make good TV, man. And so then I tweeted back my Raven gif. I said, what a mark.
That's great.
So I called Kurt Warner a mark. That was the highlight of my day.
And you can make a comment right here about Kurt Warner's wife maybe making that prediction for him.
Oh, is that?
Oh, that's a thing. That's a thing. You just in your off time, just research Kurt Warner's wife's situation and how she kind of domineered his career a little bit. And it's you're in for a treat. Anybody who isn't familiar with that, Google it. I think her name was Sandy, Kurt Warner's wife. It was people make fun of him all the time for that stuff. So anyway, we're back on college football though. The fry bath. Did you see the fry bath?
Is this and save these links because I will try to add these on at the end. Is that a thing? Dumping fries? I know Gatorade. I know dumping Gatorade.
I guess because it was the Idaho Potato Bowl, which is a stupid name for a bowl. Idaho Potato Bowl, they dumped French fries as the celebration for the coach. And they got 15-yard penalty for
because the fries spilled on the field.
Oh my gosh, that's going to really affect the field of play. They've already won.
Yeah, they got a 15-yard penalty. I saw that. They dumped fries and then they dumped Gatorade. I would hate hate all of that. I would
especially in Idaho. It's probably cold. It's freezing right now. Well, why would you want to get wet?
Water's one thing. I would hate all that sticky and like grease and all that. Just why do you dump? What I don't know why you would ever dump. I mean, obviously this is a
maybe the fries weren't fried. Maybe they were just starched and just cut from potatoes. They weren't fried.
I hate it.
So maybe there was no grease.
I hate everything about this. And then. I mean, as someone that's OCD, I would shower 6 times a day if I could. I don't, but I could. And I would hate the idea of fries being poured on me. I just couldn't think of anything worse in the world. Did you see this coach running through the door?
I didn't. I just saw that leak right now that you put up.
Isn't this awesome?
Oh my gosh. This poor guy.
The coach was trying to hype up. What school? Does it say what school it is? I don't have it pulled up.
No, it just says Drew Fez.
But he was trying to hype up his team in halftime, and he elbowed down the door.
Wow.
Yeah, keep that link up. That's a good.
I hope they win. I hope they won that game.
Well, he might need shoulder surgery after that.
Yeah, he's probably hyped, and then he turns around to his assistant and goes, "Oh, that effing hurt, man." Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Couple funny stories there. Yeah. The fry bath and then the coach running down the thing. And then
I hope they gimmick the door, maybe made the bolts loose. You know how they gimmick things in wrestling to kind of, not be as harsh. I hope they loosen the bolts and we're yeah, let's make it look like he knocked the door down and it was already kind of off his hinge.
Well, and anyone that's been to a high school or college, how thick those doors are, in gymnasiums and stuff. Everyone can picture that, right? Anyone can picture how heavy that metal door must have been for him to elbow through.
Did you really ask?
What's a BM? Bowel movement?
No. Baby mama.
Oh, baby mama. Chad tweeted he was buying Versace purses, right? Chad Ochocinco, friend of the show, was tweeting that he was buying. I didn't know what a BM was. I know a bowel movement.
Right. Baby mama, I think that's
baby mama. I thought it was maybe bad mama jamma.
The replies are just something to be great. Let's see. This long-haired Italian chick, she said, Ashley Tenalio, she said, by the way, I moved. Let me shoot you my new address. Okay. Well played, Ashley. Well played.
Someone tweeted Chad they're like, hey, can you give me attention or something? And he said, I'll send you my Cash App thing or something. I don't work for free. I don't do that for free. I thought, man, Chad's trying to he's hustling.
Wow.
Yeah, I just thought I didn't know what a BM was, and I like to include a little bit of Chad every week. I didn't know what a BM was.
The replies are great. Somebody says, Annika OF says the purses had McDonald's gift cards inside. That's amazing.
That's good.
With that being said, Merry Christmas to everybody.
We did it.
Thank you for listening. We got through it. We got through 3 pages, although, half of it was a background on our special guest. Again, want to thank Ernesto for dropping by, Ernesto Lacayo from the Seattle Dragons. Thank you for your time and interacting with us here on the Markcast. We will definitely see you soon with the next episode.
Next week, right?
Next week, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, who knows how much stuff is going to be able to talk about, so you'll find something, I guarantee.
We don't take breaks here.
You will find something to fill that Google Doc with. I guarantee it.
I'm here to quote Duke Nukem. I'm here to drink Mountain Dew and talk about XFL.
Yes, you are.
And I'm all out of Mountain Dew.
And you're all out of stuff on the Google Doc to talk about.
For
so
today.
We're moving on. Enjoy your Christmas, sir. I'm going to enjoy mine. I'll be working. You'll be hanging with your family. We'll touch base soon. And thanks for listening. And cool.
Buy a sweatshirt. XFLshow.com/merch.
Yeah. We're both broke, so buy our merch, please. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
See ya.